We're good to go?
Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Lankowa, of course. He'll make some introductory remarks, and then we'll take a couple of questions.
All right, good afternoon. I briefed the Security Council on the current state of affairs regarding UNIFIL. And obviously, it's a difficult situation. You're aware of the incident that took place over the last couple of days, 5 peacekeepers injured. And obviously, we have protested regarding the incident. We've also reminded the parties that they have an obligation to respect the safety and security of the peacekeepers. Now, as you know, the decision was made that UNIFIL would currently stay in all its position in spite of the calls that were made by the Israeli Defense Forces to vacate the position that are in the vicinity of the Blue Line. I want to emphasize that this decision still remains. It was confirmed this morning by the Secretary General. We had an executive committee meeting on that specific issue. And I want also to emphasize that this was a decision that was very carefully considered based on a number of elements and criteria. Of course, safety and security of the peacekeepers is a paramount priority, but there are a number of other elements, and one of them is the responsibility that we have and UNIFIL has in regard to the mandate that was given to it by the Security Council. It's a Security Council mandated operation, and we all feel duty-bound to fulfill to the best of our ability the mandate given by the Security Council. Obviously, we review the situation on a daily basis. We're in constant touch with the forest commander, with the UNIFIL team. Of course, we're extremely grateful to them for their dedication and commitment. And we are also in touch with the parties. The mission is in contact with the IDF. The liaison mechanism continues to work. The forest commander has been in regular touch with counterparts in the Israeli Defense Forces. I am in touch as well with the Israeli authorities. I will be meeting the Israeli permanent representative tomorrow, and of course we are also in touch with the Lebanese authorities and the Lebanese armed forces. Now, as I said, obviously our main call to all the parties is to respect their international obligation when it comes to protecting the safety and security of peacekeepers. I would also add that we need to make sure that the movements that need to be carried out by UNIFIL with the purpose of resupplying position, with the purpose of supporting the civilian population, those movements need to be deconflicted, and they need to be also cleared by the parties, including the IDF, and this is also an important message. Now, we just heard from members of the Council unanimous expression of support towards UNIFIL. Of course, it's very heartening. We also heard the troop contributing country, and you've seen the statement that there was issued by them, again supporting UNIFIL. Many other statements of support, and of course this is really important because what I call Team UNIFIL needs to be united. Team UNIFIL is UNIFIL, it's the UN Secretariat, it's the Security Council, it's the troop contributing country. There will be very shortly another meeting with the troop contributing country in order to brief them on the latest situation, the state of affairs. But of course this support and this unity is absolutely critical. One more thing. We heard a number of reports and I believe accusations to the effect that UNIFIL is somewhat responsible for the non-implementation of Resolution 1701. And I want to be very clear. I think you know that, but what is UNIFIL's mandate given by the Security Council? UNIFIL's mandate is a mandate to support the parties in their implementation of Resolution 1701. In other words, it's for the parties to implement Resolution 1701. UNIFIL is not mandated to implement and certainly not to enforce Resolution 1701. UNIFIL is mandated to support the parties. And I would also add that it is important in relation to our current decision to stay in the position, because we all hope that there will be a return to the negotiating table and that there will be finally a real effort towards full implementation of Resolution 1701. I think all the parties are also expecting that UNIFIL will be supporting that process. But then, of course, it will be much more difficult is if UNIFIL has vacated its position. So that is another reason why we believe that to the extent possible, it is important for UNIFIL to stay where it is today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So many questions. Edie, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lacroix. A couple of quick follow-ups. Have there been any incidents today?
Not-
And what was the reaction that you got from the Israelis when you raised the issues of the attacks against UNIFIL facilities and the injuries to 5 peacekeepers and more? And thirdly, what are you said you're staying put. Is there any chance that things might change? What would make things change?
Right. To the best of my knowledge, there's been no incident today, or at least no incident comparable with what we saw over the last couple of days. As I said, I mean, we're in touch with the Israeli authorities, and they've indicated that there would be, if I understood well, investigation carried out regarding some of these incidents, and we are taking note of that. We will see what comes out of this. And then when it comes to the future, well, what I can tell you is we are, I'm repeating myself, sorry, but we're reviewing constantly the situation, and we have contingency planning for all scenarios. Of course, we'll continue to do that, and if there are evolution which would at some point warrant an evolution in the posture of UNIFIL, then of course we would consider appropriate measures.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Lacroix. Michelle Nichols from Reuters. I wanted to follow up on what you said about UNIFIL's mandate being to support the parties to implement Resolution 1701. Under that resolution, UNIFIL's there to assist the Lebanese armed forces to keep southern Lebanon clear of any weapons that don't belong to the Lebanese state. So for the people outside this building who aren't down in the weeds, don't follow this as closely, don't know anything about it, how do you explain to them what UNIFIL is there doing? Can they operate without the Lebanese armed forces? For instance, if they found a tunnel near one of their bases, as the Israeli military is saying they've found, what could they have done about that? Without a strong Lebanese army, which has also been a topic of discussion, is UNIFIL just a monitoring mission?
I think, first of all, that ultimately it's all about compliance. In other words, if we are to see one day the real implementation of Resolution 1701, then it will mean that the parties accept to comply with Resolution 1701. It goes without saying, but I think it's critical to say that. I mean, and obviously, if you ask me, was Resolution 1701 implemented? Of course not. Was there goodwill to implement Resolution 1701 over the last couple of years? Well, I think you know the answer. You would also recall that even though we're currently facing a very, very, very difficult and dangerous situation, but the life of UNIFIL or the current the day-to-day operation of UNIFIL in the past years were not that easy, and you would remember why and what UNIFIL had been facing in terms of various kind of violations from all parties, which, by the way, were reported in the Secretary General's report. So I think this is really critical to emphasize that UNIFIL has a mission to support, and there are many ways in which that is being done, and that would be done in case we have a return to, like I say, implementation of Resolution 1701. In the meantime, of course, we have to currently focus on both the safety and security of our peacekeepers and UNIFIL's posture, and of course the broader issue, which is that the civilian population is suffering and hostilities needs to stop, and there has to be a return to the negotiating table.
Benny,
In the last, in Penny Avenue, the New York Sun, in the last 18 years, while UNIFIL was observing, Hezbollah actually became a much stronger army than the Lebanese army. And it hardly does reflect in your UNIFIL reports that fact, including, for instance, that tunnel that she mentioned. Did the UNIFIL report on that tunnel? Because, I mean, this is a very heavy, rocky terrain, which is very hard to dig in. So, I mean, it's almost impossible for it not to see it.
First of all, I think since you mentioned the Lebanese armed forces, I want to complement on the question that was asked earlier, which is obviously the strengthening of the Lebanese armed forces, the strengthening of its presence throughout the territory of Lebanon, including very much in southern Lebanon, is an absolutely fundamental element of settlement. This is why also we support efforts to strengthen the LAF, to provide the LAF with the resources and training and everything it needs. Of course, it has to be part of broader efforts towards implementing Resolution 1701. Now, in terms of tunnel and these allegations, we see those elements expressed by IDF. One party will have to see exactly what it is. Not very easy in the context of these heavy fighting in the region. But I think the bottom line is the following. I mean, I think that we have to stand against every assumption or every suggestion that if Resolution 1701 was not implemented, it's because UNIFIL did not implement, which was never its mandate or role, Resolution 1701. Supporting the parties means a lot of things. It means being with them, it means deconflicting, it means working on making sure that events, and I'm talking about, prior to the events that we're currently seeing, so the deconflicting, making sure that misunderstanding, would be resolved, and many other things. So there is a lot of substance in that supporting role. But if there is no compliance, if there is no willingness from the parties to implement that resolution, then of course it won't be implemented, and we will never have the kind of durable, sustainable peace in Lebanon and between Lebanon and Israel that we all hope for.
Sorry, you haven't mentioned Hezbollah. Is that one of the parties?
Of course, yes. I mean, we are dealing with the Hezbollah on the ground. It is there, of course, absolutely. Our call to respect the safety and security of the peacekeepers extend to all. It extends to the IDF. It certainly extends to Hezbollah as well. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.